Today on the Alamo Music Sound Lab, we're going to be checking out this Yamaha CS6X. We're going to listen to some of its really cool sounds, so stay tuned, it's coming up. Hi there, I'm Roland. This is the Alamo Music Sound Lab. Be sure to hop on our website, alamomusic.com, and if you'd like these videos, please click subscribe. We've got a lot of great videos coming up in the future. We have a lot of videos from the past, but by all means, we got a lot of great stuff coming up. Today, we're going to be talking about the Yamaha CS6X. Born in 1999, this is the Y2K synthesizer, if you will. Anyhow, we'll talk about some of its really cool sounds, some of its waveforms, the build quality, and other keyboards in relation to this era. And we'll also talk about the lineage of the CS series. So stay tuned, we're going to check it out in action. Oh, 1999. I remember it very well. We were at the cusp of Y2K and people were freaking out about that. But, you know, beyond all that, it was really kind of an era for some really groundbreaking new electronic music. There was, you know, genres like trip hop, trance, very, very cool and new modern synthesizer and electronic-based music coming from that era, that small little time frame. And Yamaha decided to tap into that. Right before this came out, there was the Yamaha EX5 and EX7 series, which really kind of took people by storm because it was such a powerful synthesizer. It was also very expensive. So Yamaha, I think, attempted to get into that genre, that market, with a more modestly priced synthesizer that had some of the same bells and whistles of the EX5 and EX7, and some of the other competitors out there that were making keyboards for that genre. That was the CS6X. This particular keyboard, the CS6X, came from a long lineage of CS synthesizers. I mean, obviously, they've been doing CS keyboards since the 70s. We all know those awesome classics, the CS5, 10, 15, 30, 70, the CS80. And then, you know, right about the mid-90s, they decided to, you know, revisit some of that CS thing. They came out with that really cheapo but cool Yamaha CS1X, which was like a crazy cheap price. It was also built kind of cheaply, but it allowed people to get into the electronic synthesizer thing with a couple of knobs to augment, again, at a really low price point. Very soon after that CS1X was the CS2X, which was the same kind of build, same body, just a different color, with better sounding presets, better DACs for, you know, better sound quality. And that did modestly well. Not as well as the CS1X did, just kind of a fluke there. And of course, years went by, just a few of them, and they decided to keep on with the CS thing with the 6X. Now, the 6X is a really good sounding synthesizer. The DACs on this thing sound really valid and very cool, very clean, very bold, and very hi-fi. The engine itself is AWM2 based, so it's sample playback. It's not an analog synthesizer, it's not a virtual analog synthesizer, it's really just a sample playback synthesizer. But Yamaha invested a lot of time, a lot of R&D into getting all the waveforms necessary for, again, those genres of music I mentioned, loaded into this. So the factory presets on here sound really, really good, and they're really, really creative. When it first came out, people started using these a lot for live and recording performances, but even to this day, if you were to plug this in on a recording session, I think you could find a multitude of really cool sounds to add to your electronic music. It is still a very cool synthesizer. And it's crazy because these things are like crazy cheap on the used market. I can't believe how cheap these are online. $300 to $600 is about the roundabout price point. And for that, you get a very well-built keyboard with a really awesome engine in it. And you can expand the engine. This has the PLG expansion slots on the back, so you can put in 2 PLG cards into this and take it from an AWM2 synthesizer to a DX synthesizer or the AN synthesizer, which is legendary from the AN1X and from the EX5. So you can have a virtual analog synthesizer in here, you can have a DX synthesizer in here, and the sample playback synthesizer all at the same time. Add to that, if you added, say, for example, instead of the AN chip and the DX chip, if you put 2 DX chips in there, you can now stack that polyphony and make it a really strong DX synthesizer. And you know, again, just taking all that aside, if you just dealt with what's in the box right now, I think you'd find that it's plenty cool. You've got some modifiers on the top panel to kind of tweak things along the way, really basic stuff. If you really wanted to get in there and carve stuff out, you got to get into the edit mode, and that's the Achilles heel of this. It's menu after menu, sub-menu after sub-menu, so it's really tedious to kind of like make a sound from scratch. You do have some knob modifiers on here, so if you went to edit mode and you clicked on, say for example, the filter, you then have these knobs to tweak that filter section out. But if you had to go out and say adjust the envelope or something else beyond that, then of course it's exit out of that, go into a different menu. Again, the 90s were really funky about that kind of thing. They really wanted to have tons of technology in the box. You know, what's funny is I repair synthesizers on occasion, and my least favorite keyboards to work on are keyboards from the late 90s through the say 2010 era. Because anytime you open up one of those keyboards, it's circuit board after circuit board after circuit board after circuit board. So if you have to get in there and change one little thing, you really got to dismantle all of it to get to where you need to go. Keyboards from the 70s and 80s, and even the keyboards made nowadays, if you open up the panel, there's not a lot in there, you know? I mean, aside from a CS80 or a Prophet 10 or something like that. But most general synthesizers of the 70s and 80s and of this new era, when you open it up, there's not a lot in there, so you can get in there and text stuff out really quick. Not with this keyboard, and keyboards, again, of this era. But anyways, beyond all that, it's a really cool synth, great sound quality, and the key bed feels pretty good as well. So usually what I like to do with these videos when I play the synthesizer is kind of like tweak the knobs real time, get some real sounds kind of motivated and started, and sculpt something on the fly. But today, for this particular synthesizer, because it is a very unique sounding synth, I want to go through some of the factory presets which I think are really still valid. So let's check out some presets. Well, I really hope you enjoyed checking out 1999 again. This Yamaha CX is all about that. Very cool sound, very cool look, and it's actually built extremely well. Just all in all, a really good synthesizer, and these go crazy cheap on the used market. So if you want something added to your collection, this is the one. Check it out. Alamo Music Sound Lab, click subscribe. This is Roland Perez for Alamo Music Center, San Antonio, Texas. Check out the website, alamomusic.com. Thanks for watching.